welcome back to episode 112 of Tall Boy Radio. If you joined us last week, I hope you enjoyed the episode. We were joined by a chap by the name of Al from Manchester, and he was talking about issues of mental health and what he does to draw attention to that and get people to think differently about people who think differently, which I think was the message he wanted to get out there. We're joined by another guest this evening, and before we introduce him, let's say hello to the only other host who's with us tonight, as there's no Gaz, unfortunately. His collarbones are intact, apart from the one with the metal bar sticking through it at the moment, but it is technically intact. Andy?
Hello. I'm back after my 1 week hiatus. Today I'm drinking Mother's Earth H2O. I can't really see that. Yeah. And to wash it down, I've got a Hague whiskey.
No, that makes more sense. That makes more sense. Yeah, well, before we introduce the guest, we do need to give a shout out as well to the guys from the Pub Time podcast in Peoria, Illinois, who have sent us through these T-shirts. We've obviously got a bit of an Irish theme just in time for St. Patrick's Day. And I would have taken Andy's up to him today. Unfortunately, well, not that he'd have been there because he's been picking up his new bike. We might get onto that a little bit later. But yeah, there's the back of the T-shirts for you. Yeah, all the way from Illinois in America. So thanks, guys. Truly appreciate that one. Now, we're joined this week by a chap by the name of John Nicol, or also known as the Geordie Beed Guy. So if you want to say hello.
Hi, John Nicol here. Like it says, Geordie Beed Guy on Instagram and Twitter. Just absolutely love beer. It's like your biggest passion in the world.
And this is it. Now, we did this podcast briefly. We did it as a pure beer podcast because our original logo, right, it was 3 beer cans, supposed to be one for each of the hosts. And we kept getting feedback. It's like, you look like a beer podcast. So, and you're not. So we thought we should probably do something about it. So, yeah, so we changed it up. We did it just as a beer podcast at first, but it didn't really work. We lost a whole load of listeners. but now, like they just want to hear us talk about general stuff. They do like to hear us talk about beer from time to time, which is good. But every episode, we always grab a beer and we talk about what it is that we're drinking and stuff, and we get a guest on to talk about something else. And I think it's really the episodes that we have with the guests that tend to do a little bit better, because people like to hear other voices other than ours, so it seems. So I came across you because of the way that we were doing this. I joined a whole load of beer groups on Facebook.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You are quite famous and notorious for your beer reviews on there, aren't you?
I am indeed. I get some very varied feedback on there. Absolutely. What can I say? There's a lot of haters out there. I think there's a lot of lovers out there too. But I just go for it, and I don't take offense. I'm happy to listen to anyone else's point of view, especially if it's against mine. I'd love to hear that.
well, this is it, because there's loads of people do similar sort of things to yourself. They'll stick a picture of the beer on that they're drinking, and I'll get to a little bit about what I'm drinking in a little bit. But your reviews are very much the same. They're very much the same format, aren't they? And you know.
Yes. So, yeah, well, I wanted to go out there, and when I first started getting into craft beer and stuff like that, and I would always look on the Facebook groups and stuff like that, and you'd have like someone would say "cheers" with a picture, and it's like, well, that could be the worst beer you've ever drank. Like you're not inspiring me to go out and buy that at a bottle shop. No. So I thought, right, what we need a format so I can get all the information across. And obviously it's changed over the years from what I originally started with. Like, for one thing, I used to have the price, but like it was fine when it was in a bar. But when you get for a bottle shop and a couple of other bottle shops, you put them in the fridge. And it was getting to the point where I was just making the price up because I had no idea what it was.
Well, I was going to say that is one thing that is missing off your information. And to be honest with you, I normally peel the stickers off mine so the wife doesn't see them as well, so she can't see what I've spent on a can of beer.
Yeah, if your wife ever watches this, it's only £1 a can, right?
Yeah, I normally tell her it's a buy one get one free offer. Don't worry about it, sort of a thing. So what are you drinking tonight then, just out of interest?
I've got Chubbles.
Right.
So I had the enhanced one, Chubbles 3 enhanced, the other night, and that was absolutely sensational. And this one does not disappoint either, but I massively like the DDH. The dryness of the beer really suits my taste. So I knew this was going to be a fantastic beer.
Oh, right. So what's your rate? Because you normally you give it a rating out of 5. Give it a description, which I have noticed always starts with the word "well."
It tends to, yes. Takes us back to my school days when I remember my mum going for a report, and the teacher says, "His sentences are all right, but every sentence starts with then."
Fair play to you.
So I kind of stuck to that, and I always go, well, I never know exactly how to start them. So I just thought, well, I got a format. I may as well stick to the well as well. Keep that as a format. But yeah, it's the troubles. I mean, this is definitely going to be a 5 out of 5. It's better than it was last year. And it's fantastic. It's thick, it's creamy, and anyone that's seen my reviews knows a beer has to be thick.
Yeah. I'm with you on that one.
With 2 C's.
Yeah.
I did go through your Facebook page. I did see the Chubbles. I thought that was quite tasty, that one. I've not had that one.
But
Cloudwater is brilliant.
So soon as I seen it on the No Bottle Shop website, it was straight there. I was trying to buy more, but he wouldn't let us have one.
Yeah. Bloody hell. Well, I'm interested. I've got a Cloudwater collaboration beer tonight, which is a collaboration they've done with Don Zoco. I don't know if that's pronounced. You'll tell me if that's pronounced correctly or incorrectly.
Pronunciation is not my forte. I have to admit.
And it's a slow and low smoked Baltic porter, which comes in or weighs in. Sorry, I should say, at 10%. Now, it's a good strength and it's a good thickness. And I think I mentioned to you, didn't I, that I had a Baltic porter, and you said you weren't a big fan of those because they can be a little bit too salty. And this one it's on the salty side.
Yeah, I don't know if I always just had bad ones, but I've always found Baltic porters to be too salty to the point where, I mean, if I got one in a subscription box, I would drink it, but I would never go out and buy one myself.
Yeah, well, this is I don't think it's too salty, but then again, I do add a lot of salt onto my chips, so an unhealthy amount as well, I should add. But yeah, it's not too. It's the smokiness. It's the smokiness I've got a bit of an issue with. I don't mind smoked stuff. If I have a smoked Manhattan like a cocktail, I'll tell you what, I love stuff like that. But in the beer, I had a smoked whiskey when I was up in Edinburgh just recently. We did the whiskey tour next to the castle there at the top of the Royal Mile, and they finished us off with a smoky whiskey called Smokehead. I don't know if you've probably seen it advertised on Facebook.
Yeah, I've seen it advertised, yeah.
It is smoky. Yeah, it is smoky. And I don't know if I picked up COVID or something like that while I was away, but I had some nasty flu. And I was just starting with that, and that kicked my ass. That did not help at all. So I'm a little bit against smoky things at the moment. But yeah, it's the smokiness of this. I'm not a huge fan of. The beer itself, actually, I'm not against the Baltic Porter. I've had one on this podcast before. I think it was Glen Affric Brewery do one, and I've had that on here. That was about 14%. That was a humdinger.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that sounds good there.
Yeah. So what sort of beers do you generally go for? Obviously, you like your DDH beers, your double dry hop beers. What other beers?
I love Imperial Stouts. I'd say sort of like Tippers and Imperial Stouts where I'll go for the most. Obviously, I like the ones with a higher percentage, so I've been finding ones about 18% at the minute, and I've really been enjoying them. Training myself and session them.
You normally need a spoon for them ones when they're like 18, like treacle.
Well, we had one in the last time. It's not this time I was in Scotland. I was up in Gaz and I went up in September for the darts, and I had a tiny Rebel one. And Gaz had half of it with me then, and that was an 18%er. I think that was a porter.
Yes, I've had that one.
It's a beauty. Yeah, it's a beauty.
Very boozy, isn't it?
Oh, I tell you, take some drinking. Drinking, that one. Yeah, it does. That's a good thick body one. So you like those Imperial? That's the sort of stuff you go for. Well, let's be honest though. When you're looking at the cans, do you do it a lot like you're pretending you're reading the label? You're just really looking around for the strongest one in the shop.
I do occasionally, but I don't even pretend in most bottle shops. I walk in and see what's the strongest thing you've got on the shelf. And I'll have that. I did that in the House of the Trembling Madness. And the old one before it shut, and the bloke come out with a shot glass about this big. And he says, "There you go." I says, "Oh, I don't want a shot. I was just with the missus. I wasn't even out with the lads." I says, "I just wanted a beer." He says, "Yeah. Here's your beer." So I went, "All right." I says, "Well, how much is that?" He says, $7.50. I says, 750. I says, it's less than 25 mil there, mate. He says, no. He says, give it a go. So give it a go. It was awful. It was. It was truly awful. It was up there. Yeah, I think around about 60 or 70%.
Oh my word!
But so next time I go there, I'll not ask for that.
Sounds like he's drained it from his car.
yeah, he does. God bless him. So what's the worst beer you've had then?
Ooh,
was it that one?
Beer? Oh no, I've had some really bad beers. Off the top of my head, the Northern Monk prawn cocktail beer was pretty revolting.
Bloody hell!
Yeah, that has to be up there as one of the worst ones. Although I did have one from Billy Mill, I think, off the top of my head. And that I don't even know what was in it. It was poison. It was there's very few beers in this world that I kind of push through and stomach, and that was one of them. I literally had a couple of swigs and put it down. I said, I can't drink that. Do you want just for not having it? Give us a cocktail.
Oh man, yeah. So I tell you one beer we've tried. I'd be interested to know. I know how you are on your Belgian beers, but Andy here lived in Brussels for a while, didn't you, dude? And Belgium's probably notorious for making some absolute belting beers. But we had a beer called the Duchess de Bourgogne. Have you ever tried that one?
I have, yes. A very nice beer.
Nice.
I do not like it. Oh, I love it.
No.
I think we just had a bad batch because we had one bottle and the guy who served it to us says, if you don't like it, you can give it us back. We all like shared it between us. And it was literal vinegar. I was like, oh my God, what is that? Like, I start seeing colours and all sight and sounds and all sorts. I was like, oh. And then we had it again, didn't we, like a year later? Yeah, and it was all right. It wasn't as bad, but it's not on the list.
I've had it again.
You've had it again, have you?
I've had it again since. I couldn't finish it. I think it's bloody awful.
Oh, I think it's one of those things where it's like you've got to acclimatize to the beer. So I remember the first time I ever had a sour, and I think it was a Belgian sour. It was a Rodenbach Grand Cru.
Okay. And
I had it. My mate had it, and he loved it, and I had a taste of it. And then he vomited on the spot. I thought was absolutely awful stuff. So then I decided there and then that I was going to like sour beers. So every time I went to a bar and they had a sour beer on it, I started on the lighter side, the more fruity side, and worked my way up. And it got to the point now where I had one a couple of years ago called Magic Rock Barrel 48. And the selling point of that beer was no one's ever managed a pint because it gives you that bad indigestion. So I sat at that bar and I had a pint.
You finished it, yeah.
I finished it, yeah, down the hatch. And ever since then, I haven't found a sour that's anywhere near that. I just think it's sort of like your taste buds, sort of like acclimatized.
See, I'm okay with a fruity sour. If those sour beers have got a fruity flavour to it, I'm fine with it. I really, really enjoy it actually. But the Duchess. I see my brother listens. He's listened to this podcast, and he said, I'd like to try it. So I bought him a bottle, and I bought him a bottle of Delirium Red as well.
All right, yeah.
Have you tried that one? Yeah,
I've tried that. Yeah,
you like that? Yeah,
I do. Most of the Deliriums are good, I have to say.
Yeah, crackers, absolute crackers. Yeah, and he couldn't handle the Delirium Red. Said it was bloody awful, and said we give the Duchess a bad rep apparently because he said it wasn't too bad. It's I think you might have looked at the wrong bottle, Youth. Yeah, but no, not for me. See, when I went in to pick up the beers, I thought with having you on, I thought I better get some decent beers on. So I picked up a couple, and I drank the dippers that I bought. I had a one called, I think it was 88 miles an hour. I forget who made it, and that was obviously a reference to Back to the Future.
Yeah.
And that one was absolutely fantastic. It almost tasted like grapefruit pith. It was nice. That was pith. That was just.
I got that.
Yeah, I thought I better reiterate that.
That's what Mike Tyson was in.
Yeah, but honestly, that one was fantastic. And then I had another dipper as well, and it was I forget what that one. I think that was about 8%, and they were beauts. They were beauts. But then I picked up, I like same as yourself. I like Imperial Porters and I like Imperial Stouts as well. So I picked up a couple of the porters, and I went in and I said to the guy, so I picked these up from a place called, give them a shout out, Sandbach Beer Emporium, and it's near us, and they've got a real decent range of beers in there. My brother goes in there all the time, bless him. So I went in and he said, what do you like? And I was like, well, I like a dip. I do like the IPAs, like a nice fruity one. Same as yourself, I like a dry out beer. So I really love a strong dark beer as well. I love the porters, really love Imperial Stouts. Because it's just, I tell you what, mate, tell me the stuff you don't like. I'm like, do you like sours? Yeah, I don't mind the fruity sours, but I can't stand this. It's literally the sour. And he said the same thing, funnily enough. He liked the same sort of beers as me, but just couldn't take the sours. It's something but he was doing the same as yourself, training himself, just easing himself in there gently.
Yeah, you do. You just got to keep building up, and you get to the point where you get to a certain point, and you think, I'm not sure I like this, and you just push through anyway.
Oh no. I don't think I've tried now with the Duchess. I'll end up buying it because they've done a couple of flavors now. Did you know they've done a couple of flavored beers?
Yeah,
today?
Cherry's one of them, isn't it? And there's I can't remember the other one.
There's cherry, and then I think it's chocolate and cherry as well.
Oh, nice.
So well, let's not say nice until we tried it.
I'll have to get a hold of a couple.
I know, yeah. I'm gonna have to take, because there's a place near us actually. It's called, what's it called, Andy? Belgianbeer.co.uk. And you order online, but because it's so close, they let me just nip in and pick it up. They're really good like that. Bless them. So, yeah, we were there. They do like a click and collect service, and we were the first people ever to use it. So we're on their radar. We're going to get them on the podcast at some point in the very, very near future. So this bit, like I say, this beer I picked up today. So this first one that I'm drinking is this one. This can set me back £8.20, which if the wife listens to this back, will land me in a spot of bother. What's the most you've ever spent on a beer?
Oh God, most I've ever spent on a beer in a bar would be £25.
Yeah. Was it worth it?
No, it wasn't that great, to be honest with you. I mean, I just wanted the pint. And they were selling it in thirds, and I just wanted the pint. So I thought, oh, the hell with it, I'll have the pint. And he said, you want a taster? And I was like, nah, just give us the beer. I'm sure it'll be all right. I mean, I drank it, but it wasn't the best.
You paid £25. You're going to finish it, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely. And I think the most expensive in a bottle shop, I think, was £19, I think. And that was some Nicolas beers. I can't remember which one it was now, but there's a ridiculous money when you get them over here.
Yeah. I've seen a few of those. They are expensive. What about yourself, Andy? What's the most you paid for a beer?
One of the whiskey ones. Was it 50 quid?
Oh, you did? Yeah.
Yeah. Can't remember who it was by now. I bought Straff Hendrick whiskey infused beer, and it was all right. It wasn't too dissimilar from the normal beers, and that was I think 25 quid. Then it must have been Delirium. No, Duval, the Duval barrel aged one, and that was 50 quid in a sale. That was all right, to be fair.
Sale.
Yeah. I know. He said
70 odd quid normally.
Yeah. He placed a beer order, and he sent me through the picture of the invoice, and it was 75 quid. 2 bottles on there. It's like, that would, I'll be signing my death warrant with the wife if I'd ordered that.
Oh, I would, most certainly.
Yeah.
I already
got one kidney.
You want to?
I only got one kidney now, but it was worth it. I think you gotta just try it. I mean, that one bit's 50 quid. I've been watching that for years, and they only do like so many a year. And I'm sure last year it was like 150 quid or something silly, and I was just like, I'm not paying that much. Go double digits, then I'll pay.
I wanted the Apollo that did 223% Imperial Stouts, and I thought, oh, great, they sound great, I'll buy them. Says the missus, I says, right, I'm going to drop some money on these. I said, I'm going to get them. So I goes online looking for them, couldn't find them. The price popped up, and it was something like €150 for 2 bottles. I was like, yeah, I'm not getting them.
No. Too much. Well, my brother bought me one, didn't he, for his birthday last year, and I said I'm a bit tight, I think, to be honest, when it comes with this stuff like that. And he paid £32 for it. It was like a wine size, 75 cent a litre bottle, Attila the Hen, it's called. I don't know if you've ever seen that one. If you see it, you won't miss it. So it's an American beer made by Against the Grain, and it is, I think it's like an amber or a pale ale, and it's bourbon barrel aged. And it's about 12.5%, something like that. But you can't miss it because it's got feathers glued to the neck, chicken feathers glued to the neck. Yeah, so you won't miss it. But I tell you what, it was an absolute beauty of a beer. I had it on the podcast. Oh yeah, honestly, if you do you like whiskey, by the way?
I love whiskey. I've started my own little whiskey club with the lads.
Every
month, everyone picks a bottle. We've got a price limit, and then someone picks a bottle. Everyone buys it. We'll get together. We drink the bottle. Have a good night.
Oh, good man! I like the sound. I tell you what, we need to do that, especially with Gaz, because he doesn't drink whiskey.
Yeah, he can chip in.
Absolutely, yeah. Because
I do it on my own at the minute. I'll buy a whiskey bottle. It's gone.
Just straight down.
That's it. Well, my cousin, like say, he's just come over from Texas, and he brought us some whiskey from where he's from. So it was a whiskey called Rebecca Creek, and he bought you a bottle out of that. Have you got much of it left, Andy?
I've not opened it yet.
Seriously?
I'm saving it for when we go away. So.
Oh, you can't save stuff like that. You just got to open it and have a go straight away.
Well, I must have about 5 or 6 bottles that have been opened and just like half drunk. So I've had to whittle my way through them first. Been having hot toddies and stuff, trying to get through them. They're Mrs. Approved hot toddies. Well, she's making them, yeah.
Oh, okay, fair play. So he brought this. It was Rebecca Creek. He lives in San Antonio in Texas, so he brought that, and it's made there. And they also do a whiskey called Texas Ranger as well, which he brought, and it was I think it was a 1.7 litre bottle of whiskey, so an absolute beauty. And that one, I'm ashamed to say, is nearly empty. And I was I was ill, so I've had a week off on the old antibiotics, and it was only 2 weeks ago we came, and you weren't too good, were you, that night, Andy, when you left?
I felt fine until I sat down in the living room, and then I just don't remember the rest of it. And I remember my missus saying "Oh, come on, we got to go now." I was like, "Yeah, okay, I'll nip toilet." Went to toilet, came back, sat down again. And she's like, "We go now, what?" Just like a blur. But I had a few of it. It just went down so smoothly. It's good.
Yeah, you were on. He was on the proper 12 for the Conor McGregor whiskey. I don't know if you tried that one.
No, I haven't tried that.
It's worth it.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Well, I'll have to get some of that.
And we were on a tequila as well. Was it Terramana tequila as well? It's obviously a Mexican one, and this one was whiskey barrel rested tequila.
Oh, I bet that was good.
Oh, it was good stuff. Yeah, it was really good stuff. Yeah, really good stuff.
I'd never had much tequila, and then when we were on honeymoon, I did one of those tequila tastings.
Oh yeah,
and then I got talking to the bloke that was doing it, and he took me down to the bar, and there were some other ones, and I spent half the night drinking. I couldn't tell you what I was drinking. I barely remember
it. That's a sign of a good whiskey or tasted session. That is, bless him. Yeah. So while we're talking about whiskey a little bit and on tequila, while we're talking about whiskey and beer, one of Andy's other obsessions, dude, and he's got us slowly on it. Boilermakers. You tried them?
No, I haven't.
Boilermaker is Andy. I'll let Andy tell the virtues of the Boilermaker.
I've not got it down to a science yet, but basically just some beers you can just put a shot of whiskey in it. It just makes it a little bit smoother. Makes the beer. It's like one good one's the Beavertown Lupoloid. You just put a shot of Hague or any whiskey, and it just smooths it off. And I love it. I'll
try that. I'll definitely try that.
It's worth it. I mean, what did Bo? He did it, didn't he, on the podcast with a left?
Yeah, he had left with the proper 12 in it, and I've got to be honest. Actually, it wasn't too bad. I've tried Boilermakers in the past, and I wasn't a fan, but I've always used something like Wild Turkey, bit raucous.
Yeah.
And it does detract from the taste of the beer. But this is really decent, really, really decent.
I'm like a chemist at home.
Just mix and see what goes.
Yeah. Dangerous stuff. So, taking it back to the beer then. So, I can't remember now. Do we talk about any of your favourite beers? What's the best beer you've had? I'm guessing you're one of these people. You walk into a bar, you're looking for stuff that you haven't tried rather than the stuff you like. Yeah.
I've obviously got beers go to where if I'm in a bar where there's not much new or nothing that fancy, for like Jakehead by Wylam, for example. I absolutely love that thing. I've had like 50 odd times. But generally, I walk into a bar and I want to know what's there, what's in the fridge, what they've got all round to try and find something I've never heard. So I just think new experiences. I think, well, I do the same with the whiskey. The rule is you're not allowed to buy something if you've already had it.
It's a good shout.
I want to try something new.
It's a good shout. I'm the same as yourself. I like to try. This is episode 112 of the podcast, and I've had a different drink on every single episode, just for that same reason. Don't get me wrong. Same as yourself. I've got my favourite beers. There's a beer locally. It's produced literally about 7 or 8 miles down the road from us by Titanic Brewers. Are you familiar with them?
I am. Yeah, they do the what's that one? Plum Porter.
That's the one.
Plenty of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an absolute thumping beer. And I've done the brewery tour a couple of times, and I always say this: the best place to get a beer is on tap in the very place where it's made, because it hasn't been moved. You know what I mean? I always think that's the best place to get a beer.
Well,
Have you got any
better, can it?
Oh, it can't be. I tell you what, and it's an absolute thumping beer, and you get it on tap there. And if certain times of year they do the Grand Reserve, and we've got one of their bod cafes opening up in Alsatian, which is where we live, soon. So they'll have the Grand Reserve Plum Porter, which they only do at Christmas, so 6.5%, a little bit stronger, a little bit smoother. And they also do one with port in it as well, which is if you ever see that, get your hand on it. It's a cracker, absolute cracker. Do you do many of the brewery tours? Is that something you do at all?
No, it's not. It's never something I've wanted to do. Like, I've always wanted to go to Scotland, do a big distillery tour, but I've never done any brewery tours. I mean, I love going to tap rooms and getting the beers off the brewery, but I've never really done any tours. Apart from, I suppose, Wylam, because Craft Beer Collins, like, all the way through the brewery. So you get to walk through and see all of the stuff. But it's not really a tour, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Because I've sort of noticed that when you're out and about and you're posting pictures of the different beers that you're drinking and the different bottle shops you're picking stuff up, it's never seems to be the same place. You got a few decent places near you, then, have you?
I do, yeah. Well, just within walking distance is 3 bottle shops, and then obviously when you get closer to Newcastle Centre, you've got a few there. So I like to spread it around and see different people get different things in, if you know what I mean. So it's why I'll always end up with little hauls, because I go in and I'll buy 4 or 5 beers, and I could buy more, but I think if I buy more, what happens if I go to the next one? They've got something really good.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's true. And plus, it's bloody expensive as well.
It is,
yeah. So what were your thoughts then on that? And I just sort of, this is because same as yourself, I love craft beer. Andy loves craft beer. I mean, and Gaz, we've got him into it a little bit. Anyway, God bless him. Andy got him into his Belgian beer, and now we've got him trying all sorts of different stuff. But my fear is, especially with the economy as it is at this moment, that we could hit saturation point in terms of craft brewers, and that people aren't willing to pay sort of £7-8 a can, when they can go and get themselves 10 cans of like the old fizzy pop from the supermarket. Is that I've not seen any signs of it yet. It seems to continue to be growing.
I think it's still growing. I just don't know where the cap's going to be. For example, I normally buy all of the Vault City beers as soon as they come out, because I'm a massive fan of Vault City. And I went on the website, and one of their beers is £18. But it's not a 750ml. It's just a standard 3 whatever. And you just think to yourself, well, I understand why it's expensive, because they've put so much fruit in it, and fruit's expensive.
Yeah.
And I understand everything about it, but I just think to myself, it just gives you a bit of pause, doesn't it? So if all beers start going £18, then, having like 8 beers on a Friday night, it's going to be like,
Yes, it's expensive. Yeah, it's expensive. Yeah, and that's the thing. We've got Buxton Brewery's not too far from us as well, and their stuff. Have you tried any of their stuff?
Buxton, yeah, I've had a couple of stuff. I had what do you call them? They did the different. I can't remember the name of the beer, but it was like the big stouts, 12%. They did all the different barrels.
Yes, yeah. They did an Isle whiskey, they did a bourbon whiskey as well.
Right,
yeah. They're decent. They are decent. And again, like you say, they're fairly unique beers. But again, they pack a price. Me and Andy were drinking some on the Super Bowl weekend, weren't we? We were drinking that. Have you ever had their Yellow Belly?
Yes,
beer?
I love the Yellow Belly. Buxton and
Oh yeah, gee whiz, yeah, that's a cracker. So we were drinking that, weren't we? On the Super, the house smelled absolutely foul the following day. Like, drinking strong beer like that, you wanted to burn everything we owned. But he came over. We watched the Super Bowl. And, oh my, yeah, I love that beer. And that was like, I think that was about 10, 11 quid for a 330ml bottle.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, that one is one that is worth every single penny of it.
It is. I think there's plenty of beers out there that are expensive and worth all the money. It's when you pay the money and you get a beer and it's awful and you think, oh no.
That's it. Yeah. Like the Duchess.
But I mean,
I thought. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, you go out and buy like you go and you buy, and you spend like at least £10 a beer now. Because I go out, it's very rarely I get a beer and it's less than a tenner now.
That's it. That's it, isn't it?
It used to be like £5 a pint was like, top tier, and now it's like, no. No, Carling or something, isn't it? £5.
Do you ever drink that stuff? Do you ever drink any mass-produced beer?
Yeah, I do on occasion. Like if I go to a couple of my mates aren't into craft beer, so if I'm just popping round, they'll give us a Stella or whatever they've got in the fridge. And if, like I say, the brewery's got a Magic Rock takeover on, and they've got some stuff I've never heard of, I'll go and try that as well. I'm not too fussed on the micro sort of thing. If it's good beer, I'll drink it.
That's it. Well, Stella just done new beer, actually. I don't know if you've seen it, the unfiltered stuff. So it's a hazier beer with a little bit more flavour, a little bit more yeast in it. And I wouldn't mind getting my hands on that, actually, because we've had Stella in, like I say, Andy lived in Brussels for a while, didn't you, dude? And we've had Stella out there, and I tell you what, it's not a bad pint out there. It's a better beer out there than it is that you're going to pick up in the UK.
Oh, I can imagine that.
Yeah.
It's more like, it's got more flavour to it, and I think maybe because they serve it a lot colder as well. It's just it's really refreshing. Like when it's summer, you just like get like a stein of it or whatever, big like 1.5 pinter sort of things. Yeah, it's really good.
Are you talking to the guy that on the hottest summer day a couple of years, just after the start of COVID, sitting in the paddling pool in the baking heat, I think it was 24 degrees. It was great because work had sent us home, sitting in the paddling pool, my Imperial Stout.
In your front garden as well.
Yeah, they're not beers for hot days, are they? Those Imperial Stouts, but same as yourself, I bloody love them. I do. And how's your homebrew coming on?
It should be ready now. I'm not overly positive with the flavour because it was like one of these pre-made ones, so I didn't have to boil the mash or anything like that. So I just mixed it all in. I think I'll let it set for a couple of days, and then you got to let it cool for a couple of weeks, and it's been about 3 or 4 weeks now. But I've left it in the conservatory where it's getting warm and cold, so it's probably going to be. I might slap a Carling label on it. I might this weekend. I might give it a go. I think, but it's just staring at me now. Like it's a 25-litre barrel I've got, so I might be pouring it all down the drain. We'll find out.
Have you ever had a go at making your own beer, dude?
Not from scratch, but I have done the pre-made kits before. And it went all right. I mean, it was drinkable at the end. It was sort of like, I give most of it away, to be fair.
Yeah, that's all I could do, actually.
We had a guy on, and he started doing this kind of stuff, and then he took it to the nth degree. He turned his garage into a brewery, and his bike shed into a brewery. He called it Bike Shed Brewery, and actually started selling it to the local pubs. And he actually made a business out of it. Fortunately, he had to sell it when he had 2 young kids. So they spoiled it for him. God bless him. You can't, like you said, you can't have 2 young kids like messing around while he's boiling all his beers in the garage and what have you. But yeah, he loved it. And I tried a few of his beers. I tried a few of his beers, and they were pretty good. He made a Dunkel. And that was a decent one of Andy's favourite beers. So, quick question then. So, if you were going to make your own beer, dude, what beer are you making, and what are you calling it?
Oh God, I'll be tempted to go with Nicol's thick. And then I would make the thickest and biggest imperial stout on the market. So I'd probably aim for about between like 18-19%. And I'd literally want it to be pour like custard out of the can.
So when you say pour like custard, would it be a non-Newtonian fluid then that literally packs as a solid when you slap it?
I could be, you know.
Yeah.
The can could be smaller because it just unfolds out of the can.
What about yourself, Andy? Then what are you going to be calling yours?
Oh, I don't know. I've never really given any thought. I just, I'm not very good on the spot even now. I don't know. Come back to me in a minute. I'll find a friend.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Get Gaz on. Get Gaz on. God bless him.
So, what would you brew then?
For me, again, same as yourself. I'd fancy something a really, really thick stout. Now, my nickname's Beans, so I like the idea of like having beans all over the can, like just literally calling it a can of beans. You know, it's just something like that. But I'm not sure, like, if you get an orange stout, but that might be a little bit off-putting.
It might be a little. I tell you what, I would definitely buy it though.
Well, that's it. I tell you what, that's what we need to do. Because we made our own beer, actually. Funnily enough, we did it as a one-off to celebrate. Was it a 100th episode, or was it 1 year doing the podcast we did it for?
1 year, I think.
That was it, 1 year. And it was a company in Scotland did it for us. And it was basically their Edinburgh Gold beer, but just rebranded with our label on it. We call it Stone Gold Stunner. And it wasn't the best. But they do their own. It's a place called Stewart's Brewing, and they're based in Edinburgh. And you can go up and you can book a session with them, and I think you make about 72 beers or something like that. It costs you a couple £100, but when you get 70 beers out of it, I don't think that's too bad. So you go up, you brew your own beers, you add your own flavors and stuff like that, and then a couple of weeks time you go up and pick up the end product. So I wouldn't mind to do that.
Oh, I would do that. That sounds really good, actually.
Yeah,
I think experiment and see what you can get out of it.
That's it. So you can add you can add your DD8s to it. You can do your second dry out process to it, and you can add all your different flavors to it. Bang a bit of coriander in there, a little bit of custard or whatever. But and you're not too far away actually, on the northeast of England up there. Just took a short trip up to Scotland to get it done.
I know it's not far at all. I'd be up for that, definitely. I might see the lads if they want to go up. We could have a good laugh with that.
I think it's worth doing. We've talked about doing it, and I think it's something we'll do on a podcast at some point in the future where we can corral everybody together to go and do it. So what's your thoughts on the non-alcoholic beers on the market at the moment?
Well, as a fat lad, I can honestly say, right, to me, non-alcoholic beer is the definition of just empty calories. Like in the house, I generally have tea or diet lemonade, stuff like that, and that just doesn't. If I'm not drinking, I don't feel the need to feel the need like I'm drinking. If that makes any sense.
That's it.
There is some good ones out there. I mean, one of my ones I did when a couple of lads brought us someone I did Dry January, when many moons ago. Was the Erdinger one, and it just tastes like Erdinger. Like this,
really?
It just tastes exactly like Erdinger. You'd be, if maybe if I had them side by side, you would notice. But I mean, like, just off the beer, it was really good.
Oh, fair play. That's another thing we said we're going to do on this podcast. We're going to try a few of the non-alcoholic beers, because obviously Andy's just had a wee bairn. Jackson's 6 months old now, is he?
Yes, 6 months of a week.
Oh, nice, congrats.
Yeah.
Cheers.
So obviously he had to eschew the beer just in case he had to make that trip to the hospital for Amy's sake. So you were drinking the Left non-alcoholic, weren't you?
I bought a few random ones. So I had the Left. It was okay. I think non-alcoholic beers had like a watery taste to them. So yeah, you can sort of tell. So I had the Left. I had a Beavertown do one. I forgot what it was called now, but it's got like a mangoey sort of aftertaste. I've had the Erdinger. That's decent. I think I could only drink like 3 or 4 bottles of that though. That's I just feel a bit sick of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's because there's no alcohol. I was like, oh, my body's rejecting it. Then what else? The BrewDog ones as well. They're not too bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if I could. I couldn't live off them. It's like I always say to my missus about like we do some meals that like got have meat in them, but then it's like I don't replace the meat. I just ignore it. So it's like corn and all that. I just don't see like the point. I'd rather not have anything than the non-alcoholic version. But
yeah, I know what you mean. We'll try it at some point. We'll try a few of the different non-alcoholic ones, just to see how they are and what they do. It's like, and we had a guy on from Virginia called Johnny Simo, didn't we? And he did it to lose weight, and literally he was one of those guys. He said, you start mowing your yard. And he says, it's a 6 or 7 beer job. Except he's doing his gardening, and he's 7 beers deep. So he switched out for the Bush NA. Now I think I've tried Bush when I've been in the States, but I've never tried I've never tried any non-alcoholic beer when I've been in the States. Full enough, I'm on holiday. That's the last thing you want is bloody non-alcoholic stuff in it. But he swears by it. He says it's a really good beer. Yeah, but we've had a couple of guys on before we've tried it and not thought too much about it. So Andy's hit on something there with the old BrewDog. Dan, obviously, what are your thoughts on BrewDog? Have you tried? Do you drink a lot of their beers?
I go to the BrewDog bar a lot, but that's mainly because they've got really good guest beers on. I have to say, it's very rare I have a BrewDog beer, and it was before all the scandal and stuff like that. Just the majority of stuff they have on at the bar that are BrewDog isn't that great. It's all like Punk IPA and stuff like that. And Punk IPA back in the day used to be fantastic before they changed the recipe, and now it's completely not the same. Although I did have the Hazy Jane Guava, and that was all right.
That's a decent one. Yeah, that is a decent one. I like the Hazy Jane anyway. Yeah. I do like the triple hazy and the OG hazy as well. The stronger ones are decent. And Elvis Juice is now back at 6.5% after they upset everybody by dropping it down to 5. I see. Well, I don't mind a BrewDog. I don't mind a BrewDog, and obviously, like you say, you mentioned the scandal there, and obviously the toxic relationship that some of the people have at the top level and filtered down. I do think that James Watton is in charge of that. I think he's an honest guy and he owned up to it, and I think they will sort of get involved. Yeah, I think they will. I think they will. Well, it seems yourself, like sipping up to Scotland, we don't have a BrewDog. Well, you have a BrewDog bar now. You don't, Andy. Andy lives in Stockport, so you've got one in Manchester. So I was.
We got 2 now.
We got 2.
Yeah. There's the normal one on in Deansgate, but they got the hotel one with it's a hotel, but you can take your dog as well. You got beer taps in the rooms and stuff like that. Yeah. That's worth it. I know it was like 10 minutes away, but I might still go there one night.
They do the share. Yeah, when you've upset Amy, and they've got the shower beers as well. So like you go in the shower and they've got the little fridge in the rooms as well, like in the actual shower. So when you're having a shower, you can have a beer while you're in there.
Is that for real? Is it?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a real thing.
Fantastic. I need one of them for the house.
That would be good. Yeah, that would be good. So I was up there recently. Have you had the chocolate only one that they did? Tony's chocolate only.
I don't think I had that one. I don't believe.
That was like a limited edition beer. I had it in there, and it's like a white chocolate and raspberry beer. Oh, I'll tell you what.
Good.
Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing. But I've got a bit of a sweet tooth. I have got a bit of a sweet tooth, and that one was a bit of a humdinger. Well, I've cracked open another beer now, and this is another collaboration beer. So it's Salt and Queer Brewing, which is an LGBTQ company. I had to look that up online, and it's called Flavortown 2 by Fieri. It's an Imperial Porter. And that one's 8%. So this has got flavourings of toffee and cacao. So I'm looking forward to taking the taste of the bloody smoke away from that last one.
But you see, it says Imperial, and it should be 10%.
Well, I must admit, I thought that when I picked it up. I thought, I always thought that it needs to be double figures. And this one actually, although it does taste quite nice, it's lacking a little bit of body. It's a little bit thin.
Oh, is it? There's no worse crime for an Imperial Stout for me.
No, it is. It looks thick-bodied when you look at it, but in the mouth, the old mouth feel, as they say in the industry, it is lacking. It is lacking a little bit. So go on.
I was just going to say, because I went to York, we had a good drinking day in York, went to Brew York, and I had one of their beers, and I'm sure it was 9.8, maybe 9.9. And not an argument, but a big discussion with the guy behind the bar about how he shouldn't be allowed to call it Imperial because it was a percentage off.
Are you not allowed there back? Are you not allowed to go back?
Yeah. I'm going to put a mask and a mustache next time I go in.
Well, one of the beers I saw when I was looking around was it was a brown ale. It was an Imperial brown ale. And I thought about that's not something I've ever heard of. And again, I think that one was actually 10%, but I thought about trying it, but I thought, no, I'm going to stick with what I know and with what I love. So you stick a lot of beers on, just on average. Then, how many beers do you get through a week then? When because you stick a fair few reviews on.
I do, yes. I plow through beers. I used to have this rule. Well, I've got two rules. One, I never drink alone, and I always stick to that. Shame I've got loads of friends willing to come over. That's the problem. But averagely, I try to keep it to like 2 nights, but that's gone out the window at the minute. And it's just sort of, so I would reckon about it. If I'm out in the town, it's a hell of a lot. If I'm in the house, maybe it's about, 20 beers a week. 15 beers a week, something like that. A lot more if I'm on the town.
Oh, fair play. Well, I'm a little bit envious of that. I think, you know what I mean. I'm not gonna lie. So I have early starts of the morning. You know, I'm up for work at 5, so it's not often I get to drink as much beer as I'd like to.
I'm the same.
Seriously,
I'm up at 5 o'clock. I'm on the metro for 6 o'clock. At work for 6:45, so it's sort of like just gotta shake it off on the way.
Just gotta live with it.
Just gotta live with it.
I always say this to the wife, especially on the weekend. The whiskey tends to go down a little bit quicker on the weekend, and she says, "I don't know how you can live with these hangovers or whatever in the morning." It's like as soon as you just accept that's what a morning feels like, you're golden.
Yeah. You mean there's an option not to have that?
That's it. But I tend to find with the better quality of the beers, you can feel a bit, squiffy at night, but the following day I don't feel too bad off those sort of quality beers.
Sometimes with sours, and sometimes get a really bad stomach, but headaches and stuff I generally don't get, so I've been lucky with that.
Yeah, fair play. Yeah, if you've had a night with the Duchess, it's gonna be a rough morning.
Absolutely.
So with your reviews then, is obviously you say you can find you on Instagram, you can find you on Twitter, and obviously I've seen your stuff on Facebook. Is that something you'd like to do? Is it something you'd like to do permanently, or I don't know what you do actually for a living? Do you work in the brewing industry at all?
No, I don't. I trained in IT and working on printers currently. But yeah, I would love to do it as like some kind of beer taster or something like that. I mean, if you could pick a dream, that would be my dream. Do you know what I mean? Just sitting there and trying as many beers as humanly possible.
Oh yeah, it would be good. Yeah. Because we've talked about it on here before. Because Andy's dream is, and you said before, you're close to taking a dip, aren't you? Opening up your own bottle shop or bar. It's something you'd love to do, isn't it?
Yeah, I think like if it was a bottle shop at the front, but then had like a little back room where it's like a little, just a little seating area, have a few beers and stuff like that. And yeah, that's the dream. Because I can't be asked working anymore.
No, but
have a few samples.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
So, I mean, our local bottle shop does exactly that. You've got all the fridges. They've always got a couple of kegs on, and you just go. You have a couple of beers on draft, and then you get your beers. You can drink them in if you want, or you can just take them home. So I would love to do that, but I would need someone to do all of the the hard work, the ring around the breweries.
I don't know. I think if you're turning up there and you're saying, I'm interested in taking a couple of cases, but I'm going to need to try that first.
Yeah.
That sounds like the job for me, that does. I'll do a little bit of that hard work. I'll do a little bit of the lead work. Is that something you'd like to do then? Is that something you'd like to do?
Yeah, it's genuinely something I would love to do. Just, I don't know, it's just never something, I don't think I'll ever do it. I just would love to do it. I mean, like, we did a beer festival, mate was helped organise in Leeds, and I can't remember the name of the beer festival. It was for a charity. And I went along, and he says, oh, look, he says, I've got you in. He says, you're classed as one of the helpers. He says, but you don't really have to help that much. He says, just go and drink what you want to drink. Pour your own and knock yourself out. And I found, even though that I didn't have to stand behind the bar, didn't have to serve people, I thoroughly enjoyed it. But I mean, I was drinking at the same time. So it was sort of like someone would take and have one of them. So pour the cask and there you go. Oh, I'll have one with you.
Yeah. Oh, with it, yeah.
But they had at the end of the night, they had half a barrel of Siren's Breakfast Stout. I think it's 8.6 or whatever it is. And they said, "Oh, we're pouring this away." I says, "Well, why are you pouring it away?" He says, "At the end of the night, we've got to get rid of it." I says, "Well, I'll take it." He says, "Oh, you can't take it home. Legally, we've got to dispose of it." He says, "Well, how long have I got?" He says, "Well, I can go round the other way." He says, "And undo the other barrels first." I went, "Right." So I sat there trying to drink as much of this breakfast stout as humanly possible. And let me tell you, it did not go well.
No.
The last thing I remember, lying on the bathroom floor, and then I woke up in my mate's apartment. So,
oh wow! I thought you were going to say like you're trying to pour it in your pockets and stuff.
Absolutely. Breakfast stouts. So, they're heavy going on. They're the best of times.
Yeah, very heavy. So I was just trying to neck as much as I could, and it was obviously.
Yeah. To be honest, the clue's in the name. It sounds like something that should be good the following morning.
I think that's one of them beers you get out of breath with, isn't it? You start drinking, it's like.
It is. Yeah. Although I think I was burping, and I was frightened I was just going to burp you out of breakfast stout.
Oh. Oh dear, yeah, that's not good. So, is it? I don't know. Obviously, the last couple of years we've not been able to get away too much, have we, on our hollybobs? But is that something you look for when you go away? The different beers that you're going to be able to try when you're out, when you're out and about. Is that one of the things you consider when you have a holiday?
Yes, it is, and it drives my wife up the wall. Absolutely up the wall. Because she'll say, "Oh, look, we can get this deal. We can go all inclusive. I wouldn't do this, I wouldn't do that." And I'd be like, "But they've got no beer."
No, absolutely.
Out the wall. So I've got to give and take, and we go on holidays where I don't really have any beer, stuff like that. But like, you just drink what's there. But yeah, if it was up to me, I would be designing my holiday around whichever brewery I fancied at the time.
That needs to be a thing. I might even be a thing that I'm not aware of, but where you can go on holiday and get a few brewery tours in. That seems like a packageology that needs putting together, doesn't it?
It does. It sounds great, then.
Yeah.
You could do the beer bikes in between them as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
By the time you get to like your third one, you're like, well, you're pedaling the wrong way.
I've seen a few of those. I thought, where were we? I think it might have been Amsterdam when they're cycling along. And it's like, no, that looks like a little bit too much hard work when you're pedaling your own bar around.
I couldn't be coping with that.
No, I couldn't. I could not with my knees. Not with my knees at my age. Bloody hell, no, they'd be giving up. Yeah, gee whiz. So, where's the best place you've been then to go grab yourself a beer abroad?
Abroad, I'm trying to think now. Was probably Barcelona. There's a few bars in Barcelona had some good beers. I mean, they took some tracking down because obviously they're not on the popular bits everyone goes to. But majority of the time, to be fair, I don't go abroad that often. Mainly because we argue about where to go and end up staying in this country. Because she's desperate to do somewhere like New York. But
Okay.
I just know if me and her go to New York with a little one, that we'll just end up in a massive row all the time. Because if I go to New York, I want to go to the other half, and I want at least a day. Just sitting in another half room. Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, I've been to Barcelona. There was a place down near the beach area called Black Lab. I don't know if you tried that place, but that's decent. And they make their own beers in there. And I think a lot of the food was made with their own beers, or even like the desserts. That I had, and they did an IPA jelly, which was topped with like a beer cream. It wasn't too good, to be honest with you, but you got to try it while you're there. But the beers that they had some decent beers, and when you think about Spanish beers, you don't necessarily think about the beer, the sort of stuff that they had. And they had sort of like 8-9%ers. Yeah, I had a few cracking, and like one. Funny enough, you say about going away with a little one there. My wife was she was pregnant at the time with morning sickness had just kicked in. So she the last thing she wanted was me to like, no, let's just try this. It's quality.
Yes, it's go to this bar.
Absolutely. So your beer reviews then, that obviously I'm looking forward to seeing which ones you're going to try and line. Have you ever thought about doing your own podcast or anything like that, and sticking it on YouTube and what have you?
I haven't. No, I never thought about it, because it's just that. I don't know. I just wouldn't know how to go about it to start with. But no, it's never something I've given much thought to. I just enjoy having the beer and then reviewing it and putting it on. And I like to give it like an objective, sort of like to the style bit, and then obviously my opinion at the end, which confuses a lot of people apparently.
I think it's the ones where you say you almost like you really enjoyed it, and then would you buy it again? No. Yeah. Those tend to be the ones that excite people.
They love that. They love to pile on about that. Honestly, sit on the metro in the morning, because normally the next day I end up checking, and it's sitting giggling away at myself in the headphones. The other people on the other seat must be thinking, "What's wrong with him?"
But I saw one the other day. I was flicking through the different beer pages. What was the guy's name? So some dude, and his name was John. Oh, sorry, not John. I'm thinking I've been watching Die Hard. Trevor McCabe, and it used your exact format.
Oh yeah, there's a couple of people now who've started using the same format and putting it in.
It's going to catch on.
No, it's the wife. I should have copyrighted it.
You should have done. Yeah, he should have. I saw a few. There was one guy who was launching his own bottle shop, and he'd nicked your format as well. And then during like the old COVID times, there's one dude who got himself vaccinated, and he'd nicked your format as well.
I've seen that. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, I thought fair play to you. Yeah, fair play to you on that one.
Well, there's one of the forums in the opened one, I think was the UK CBF. Then they opened another one, the UK CBF John Nicol chapter, and stuck us in as the admin.
So, how many of those are you on then? Because you seem to be like, if you review a beer, I tend to see it about 4 or 5 times.
I don't know. I think I'm in about 20, I think. Yeah. Well, there's a couple of them recently where people have started new ones, and there's like 4 people in them, and they say, "Will you join?" So I just join now. There you go. Yeah, I'm in.
Fair play. No, I enjoy them. I like I say, I love trying different beers, and I always like to see what you're trying on there, because especially because I think you like quite similar beers to me as well. So I always like to check them out. So we normally keep these podcasts to around about an hour, and I'm saying we're coming up to around about the hour mark. So I think it's time to say cheers to our listeners and thank you for listening. I've really enjoyed this episode, John. I've enjoyed having you on. I've enjoyed hearing about the different beers that you've tried. Is there anything else you wanted to shout out about before we let you go?
No, just follow us on Instagram if you're interested, and thanks for having us on. It's been really enjoyable.
Yeah, fair play. So where can people find you on social media?
Instagram, Geordie Beed Guy. Twitter, Geordie Beed Guy. All of the craft beer groups, just pick one, you'll find us on Facebook.
Yeah, and I can tell you for a fact, I'm in a lot of those myself. You will find it. It's not a problem. So we'll sign off from this episode. So, John, do you want to say your goodbyes?
Yeah. Thanks everyone for having us on, and hope you enjoyed the show, and see you later.
Thank you very much, Andy.
Yeah, it's been good. I've got a few beers for the list to. I've got a sample now. I look forward to seeing more.
Good man. Yeah, and for me, definitely, we'll have you on again at some point in the future, John, and we'll pick your brain about some different ideas about different beers that we have, and we look forward to hearing about the different stuff that you're going to try, and perhaps if we do a beer and Andy gets his own brew made up, we'll get it sent up to you so you can try it and you can give that a rating out of 5 and let us know whether you'd have that one again.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I'd be well up for that.
Okie dokie. So that's it for this week, guys. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next week when hopefully Gaz will be back with us.